Welcome into the Commanders Report. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. We've got some major injury updates here on a Friday for the Washington Commanders as they get ready to take on the Minnesota Vikings here on Sunday afternoon. Quarterback Jayden Daniels will officially be back on Sunday. So today on the show, I'm going to be talking about the injury updates for the Commanders and the Vikings, what that means for this matchup, and get you guys ready for Sunday afternoon as we will finally see the Commanders starting offense all together for the first time this season on Sunday. So really excited to see that. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We greatly appreciate all of your guys' support. Help us get to 50,000 subscribers. We're now less than 1,000 subscribers away. I think we're less than 800 subscribers away now from getting there. So if you guys want Commanders content for free every single day, make sure you click that subscribe button. So of course we have to start today's video, guys, with Jayden Daniels, where it was announced today that he has been cleared for contact by the Commanders medical staff. And he's officially good to go this week versus the Minnesota Vikings, which is crazy because just a few weeks ago, guys, we were talking about Jayden Daniels' season, we thought was likely to be over after we witnessed on Sunday Night Football, like I said, just a couple weeks ago, one of the most disgusting looking injuries I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it looked like he broke, his bones in his arm, and it looked like it was going to be like a massive kind of recovery that could have maybe even put the start of the 2026 season in jeopardy. But no, it was just a dislocated elbow, and there was no ligament damage, no fractures. So they just pretty much had to pop it back into place and then allow things to kind of get back to normal there. And of course that took some time. Marcus Mariota has been holding down the fort. Obviously the Commanders lost every single game during that period, but I thought Mariota actually represented himself pretty decently in most of those games. And honestly, as it's been for most of the season, it was the defense that was really responsible for a lot of those losses. But Mariota is now out of the starting lineup, and Jayden Daniels now comes back in. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be like, why are we even playing him? The season is over anyways. Why are we risking further injury with him? Why don't we just shut him down? Why don't we just lose a bunch of these games at the end of the year so we can improve our draft positioning? And, yada, yada, yada. And as I've been saying on this channel, guys, in terms of that discussion, I don't think that's the right decision. And clearly the Commanders and Jayden don't feel like that is the right decision. Jayden actually talked with the media today, talking about how, even though the Commanders aren't going to make the playoffs this year, or likely not, they're technically not mathematically eliminated yet, but they're very, very close. And it'll probably happen at some point this weekend. But Jayden was talking about how, he's still a developing player. He's still a young guy, and he's not somebody that thinks, that his crap doesn't stink. He knows that he's got stuff to still learn, stuff to still develop, and he is in the process right now of getting himself ready to try and get this team in position to get back to where they were and even further where they were last year, where of course they went on that magical NFC Championship game run. And Jayden wants to be the best version of himself heading into 2026, and part of that is playing these last few games, seeing what he can do, and of course having Jayden out there allows you to better evaluate the players around him on offense, because these last few weeks of the season, plain simply, it's a test and it's an evaluation to see which players do we want on this roster moving forward. So for guys that are in the final years of their contracts, guys that are trying to establish themselves as long-term pieces for this Commanders team, guys like Chris Paul, the left guard, guys like Noah Brown, guys like Traylon Burks, guys that whose futures are not Deebo Samuel, guys whose futures are very much in doubt with the Washington Commanders. It's going to help out the evaluation process when you have the quarterback that's going to be out there in 2026 out there playing with the guys. And of course that's going to build some chemistry. It's going to do all those things that it needs to do. And along with the developmental side of things, where Jayden can get more game reps, get himself more ready to serve this team in 2026 in their journey to try and get back to Super Bowl contention. So I like the fact that he's coming back. It sounds like he's 100%, which is kind of the thing that I've been saying all along. is, if he's 100%, go ahead, put him out there. But, be patient, allow him to get back to 100% health before you put him back out there. And at least I'm hoping that's what the case is here. You do not want Jayden Daniels to get injured again. And I do think for the rest of this season, Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury should be very cautious about how they use Jayden as a rusher. I think that Jayden really shouldn't be used as a designated and kind of designed runner for much of the rest of the season here. I understand you want to compete and do all that stuff, and that's great. But Jayden, obviously, we already know what he can do with his legs, and we already know what he brings to the table as a rusher, and I don't think there's really any reason to overly delve into the QB run game because it's going to increase the chances of him getting hurt again, and that would be the worst case scenario for Jayden and the Commanders. So I think really what this kind of final stretch of the season should be about for Jayden is developing as a pocket passer. And I think that, Cliff can try and put more things on his plate, try new things out, see if there's anything that they can add to the offense moving forward that Jayden can excel at and get better at as the season goes on, and try and develop that side of his game because A, we don't want further injury, and I think running him a lot is going to kind of lead to a higher chance of injury, but also B, the area of his game where he needs to develop a little bit more is inside the pocket. And I think these last 5 games of the season can be a good opportunity for him to develop that side of his game. So really excited to see what he looks like on Sunday. Of course, he'll be going up against his fellow 2024 QB draft classmate in J.J. McCarthy, who is going to be good to go for the Minnesota Vikings. So to see those two battle for the first time in their careers will be fun. And of course, this Commanders defense has looked a lot better over the last several weeks. And J.J. McCarthy's been a quarterback that's really struggled. So honestly, with Jayden back in the lineup, guys, I feel pretty good about the Commanders' chances of coming away with a win this week. And then, of course, next week, you're going up against another young quarterback in the NFC East in the New York Giants and Jackson Dart. So, a couple opportunities in a row here for Jayden and Terry McLaurin and this offense and this entire Commanders team to start feeling better about themselves here as we get towards the end of the season, start building some foundation for the future of this franchise. Some more Commanders injury updates heading into this game. Noah Brown is expected to play. He's technically listed as questionable, was still with that groin injury, but he has been at practice all week and he is expected to play according to head coach Dan Quinn. So I expect to see something in the news tomorrow about them officially adding Noah Brown to the active roster, which of course would mean that this will be the first time since all season the entire starting offense for the Commanders is healthy. And of course, if you're saying, what are you talking about, Jack? They were healthy at the beginning of the season. You didn't have Sam Cosmi at the beginning of the season. So this is the first time all season where Jayden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, Noah Brown, Sam Cosmi, all of these guys are healthy, are ready to go. And I think, Jayden might take a little bit of time, especially because you're going up against Brian Flores, a really good defensive coordinator. Might take a little bit for Jayden to get his sea legs back under him, but I'm excited to see what, this starting offense looks like. And it might be a little bit sad if they play very well, because we might be looking at this kind of final stretch of the season and the Commanders are starting to have some success down the stretch, and we might be left saying, what if? What if there wasn't all these injuries this year? What if, this Commanders team could have stayed healthy, or at least somewhat healthy this year? How would it have looked differently? But I would still take the victories, though, because at least we can look forward into the future with a lot of positivity and a lot of hope and a lot of optimism heading into the 2026 season. Some more injury updates here, this time on the defensive side of the ball. Drake Jackson, who was activated off of IR this week. A lot of people thought, hey, this is going to be his week to go play. Unfortunately, that looks like it's not going to be the case. It looked like he suffered another injury, and he did not practice these last 2 weeks, or last 2 days, I should say, and he's officially out for this game. So Drake Jackson just having a really tough time staying healthy, unfortunately, and we'll see if he can get on the field at any point during this season. And then Bobby Wagner is the other guy on this Commanders injury report this week that is questionable. He did practice today, but he did not practice on Wednesday and Thursday. Bobby Wagner very rarely misses games in his career, one of the toughest individuals really in the history of the sport. So if he can play on Sunday, my guess is he will play on Sunday versus the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm guessing he will be out there at US Bank Stadium on Sunday afternoon. And then we'll finish up today's video here, guys, with the Vikings injury updates. The two big ones that you should be aware of is that the entire starting left side of the Vikings offensive line is questionable to go. That includes their left tackle, Christian Darrisaw, and that includes their starting left guard, rookie out of Ohio State, Donovan Jackson. And those two have missed a couple games now. If they're missing those guys, then obviously that's going to give opportunities to guys like Jacob Martin and Deron Payne and all these guys to give pressure on J.J. McCarthy in this football game. But I'll just leave you guys with this message. I'm excited to see what this Commanders team looks like the final stretch of the season. Obviously, season's over, not going to be making the playoffs. Our focus is really turning now to 2026. And because of that, though, I'm excited to see how Jayden progresses as a pocket passer, because I really think that this Commanders team is going to be diving into that. I'm really excited to see if Traylon Burks continues to show good things down the stretch. I'm excited to see if Deebo Samuel kind of opens up a little bit and starts being more productive because Terry McLaurin is in the lineup now. I'm excited to see Jayden throw to Terry McLaurin for the first time since week 2. I'm excited to see what this defense with Mike Sainristil playing on the outside and Jordan McGee playing more at off-ball backer and all these guys continue to play well, especially with Dan Quinn calling plays. There's still stuff to be watching Commanders football for, which is why we are still locked in on this channel, on this football team every single day. So if you guys want that extensive coverage, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Greatly appreciate all of your guys' support. Until next time, guys, hail to the Commanders.